Hi, everyone. Welcome to the latest episode of Data Dialogues, the premier podcast looking at all things data management. I'm Julian Redmond from Ignition, and I'm excited today to be joined by Ramesh Sharma. Ramesh is the founder and CEO of Orion Governance, and exciting for me, a new member and sponsor of the DVIC. Ramesh, thanks for joining today.
Thanks, Julian. It's a pleasure.
So, Orion in mythology was the pinnacle of hunting. So good, I guess, he was immortalized by the gods,
Mhm.
which is nice. But one of the nice things about Orion is that he was actually, or is, that story is a really accessible way for people to access Greek mythology. Um, so I see Orion governance kind of similar. You're at the pinnacle of what you do, but you're also a really good starting point for people to access, and start take control of their information and their enterprise data. So why don't you start with maybe giving us a little bit of an overview of how Orion got started,
Mm.
and what made you want to go on that odyssey?
Yeah. Well, thanks. That's a great question. And, I've been in the IT business, running consultancies for many years, working with a lot of big companies in data movement, analytics. And, it's a lot of times you get stuck in the forest and all you see are trees, and you don't really have this idea of there may be a bigger problem at hand. And this really came up by happen chance. I was asked to lead a modernization effort to migrate from a certain vendor's database to another vendor's database for one of
Yeah,
the largest travel companies. And my first question was, if I pull the plug from the old system, who's going to scream the loudest? And where's the data coming in from? And who are the consumers of this data? And this global travel company being very successful and having acquired a lot of different enterprises.
mm,
Uh, uh, Funny enough, I couldn't find anyone that had the answer to it, and that's because people came and went. They were paper maps or architectural diagrams that were written, published, but never updated, and yet the enterprise kept running. So I had 10 months and 40 people that I was responsible for to help make this modernization effort go through successfully. Then I had the aha moment, right? Having been in enterprises, having been involved in building data warehouses and analytics, how come I never really thought about the bigger problem at hand? That is, how does information flow, and who consumes it, and who's taking derivatives of the work that has been done?
mm,
And we ended up having to hire a bunch of consultants to solve this problem. And then the aha moment was, I've got all the information in front of me, albeit in, say, Da Vinci Code. It's written
yeah,
in JCL, COBOL, Java, Python.
yeah.
Why can't I interpret all this and create that map that's going to help me modernize? And that's really that was the beginning of Orion. And went together with my co-founders, said we need to create a solution, and it cannot involve human capital. It's got to be automated.
Yeah.
And that's really the beginning. And then things evolved. Regulatory compliance came knocking down the door, saying we need to provide traceability for regulators and or modernizing, etc. So a number of use cases just surfaced, and we continue to evolve the product and go from there. And that's been a very exciting 6 years now.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing, and I really relate. We've done similar projects and probably similar exercises without that aha moment, and certainly understand, at least from a data warehousing perspective. But the enterprise information intelligence graph is, I guess, the kind of the key aspect of Orion. Can you tell us what it is, what it does, how that works?
Yeah. So it is as a, to simplify things, I would call it the Google Maps for the IT landscape, right?
Yeah,
In the old days, people navigated using paper maps that could be architectural diagrams and things that were out of date, and you never really knew until you started using it, and you're like, this doesn't look to be the same as what was documented. So EIG is meant to collect metadata from a wide variety of sources within the enterprise, interconnect them, give you the ability to catalog it, but also impute business knowledge or meaning into what you're looking at. So when we consume metadata from a wide variety of sources and build this map, it's nothing but a very technical view of the world, and not everybody in the enterprise understands what that is.
Mm,
So we came to the realization that we need to have that model make it useful for different personas in the enterprise. So it's a knowledge graph where you see all the assets interconnected, and you're adding additional information. Uh, just like in Google Maps, you'd see traffic and weather and all this that help make decisions when you navigate the highways. Here we add data quality and code quality and timeliness. Ultimately, you've got this single source of truth, be it for regulatory compliance, fulfillment reasons, or for monetization. So the idea is to provide traceability, to provide analytics, eliminating duplication. So if you've got um, tons of reports, do you really need to have one of our customers has 100,000 reports? So it doesn't really take 100,000 reports to run your enterprise. And you've heard of a lot of talk now with the movement to the cloud, how costs are running away, and people are asking questions. So there is a aspect to what EIG does that gives you what I call hyper awareness within the enterprise, a federated view of information flow without really being an expert in the specific technology in itself. So be it mainframe, be it Java, be it Python, or traditional database systems, we provide that technology and vendor agnostic view of information flow in near real time.
yeah,
I
that
don't know if
I
that
mean,
answers your question, but
well, it does in a way. I think it's really nice to see a focus on enterprise information and the enterprise information flow. And we mostly live in a world, and this audience mostly lives in a world of data warehousing and data lakes and analytics and BI and all of those sorts of things. And so, there's been a concept of data lineage and and governance platforms and stuff around the warehouse for quite a while. And I've been involved in lots of conversations around how that could extend to data migration projects and modernization projects, and 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 even an ESB style messaging, enterprise service bus type project where
yeah,
we're still those projects still do data integration and just do it in a different
absolutely.
format.
Yeah,
And I think it's been missing. So it's really nice to hear someone talking about kind of the enterprise information. Well, the name's really good. Enterprise information intelligence graph is really what you are graphing. The movement of data across the organisation rather
yeah,
than just how did data get specifically to this report, which is valuable, but it kind of leaves a lot behind. I think.
yeah, yeah.
So I may have answered my next question already, but you can elaborate. There are lots of tools that do information governance in
Mm,
various ways and in
mm.
various levels to various degrees of success. What makes Orion different to the other offerings that are out there? What makes it unique? I guess.
So this boils down to the foundations, right? We took the road less traveled, which is a much more difficult path to take, which is the ability to parse code, be it mainframe, be it Java, Scala, Python, and essentially break it down to the DNA level, put it in a model where they all coexist and interconnect them together, all through automation. And in the early days, we were told that this was impossible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there were companies advocating governance, and there still are many of them who took what's called the top-down approach to it. So let me just create a fancy UI. Let's talk about business processes and setting up governance structures. And then let's spend a whole lot of time building a conceptual model to try to fit reality, right? And it's a very waterfall approach. So they are the epitome of why governance is boring, or why people don't like governance, or they
Yeah.
end up quitting after 10 months or so, because you can't really accomplish anything practical. So fundamentally, the approach we took is different. It's much faster, so we accelerate time to value, get you up and running much quicker than any of the traditional tools can. And we solve problems like impact analysis and traceability that's fact based and not fiction based. So
Hmm.
by understanding technical concepts really well, and also understanding the fact that you do need to cater to different personas in the enterprise, right? That there are people with technical know-how, and there are people who don't understand the technology behind or the technical structures. So taking a single model, multiple view kind of an approach is really what makes us very different. So we do deployments that last weeks, not months or years,
Yeah,
and
yeah, that
it's always about that acceleration and how could you innovate and build on top of that. And
yeah. Well, I mean, we've done. I remember probably 15 years ago doing a governance program for a large government body in one of the states in Australia, and it was very much that top down. We will put in a governance structure. We will
Mhm.
define all of our business terms. We will then build data quality metrics or other KPIs around it, and then you will all be appointed stewards, and then we will have perfect data. And it I guess we didn't have much an alternative way to approach it. But since then, I guess we've moved into an idea of non-intrusive governance, where we build up the governance assets as we
Yeah,
go along, project by project. And I think that aligns perfectly with what you're talking about. And
certainly.
it also aligns really well with Data Vault and the idea that you do things incrementally. So, how is EIIG going to be a benefit to Data Vault customers? Do you think?
Well, giving them insight into uh, what is happening in the vault without exposing the complexity. As we've partnered with Ignition as well with your team to provide that insight uh, for the Data Vault customers. I think that's going to be very important. And given that you could use different technologies, but you're building off of the concept there,
Mm,
it becomes very critical, and it also makes it expandable to the wider enterprise. It's not just focused, as you said, continue to expand, build on top of what you've already built, and that's how this works.
yeah, I
So,
like the idea of building or even identifying business keys. So obviously in Data Vault there's the concept of a business key, which is essentially using the business's language to describe what they have or what they do. So so it can be customers, or it can be a product, or it can be a service, or those sorts of things. And it really sounds like you're helping map where does the information around those particular keys live within the organization. And then in the Vault model, we're going to bring it together, and I think it allows us to do it in tandem. So we're essentially assessing where data lives. We're deciding how we want to frame it up to
yeah,
give access to users for self service and those sorts of things. And then the nice outcome of that is obviously being able to support it with impact analysis, and
exactly.
and the end to end lineage to know that it's actually what was stated in the source system. I was going to say true, but we know that not necessarily everything in the source system is true, but but certainly as long as we can reconcile to what was entered into the source, that's a big step forward. So
Yeah, yeah. And I wanted to add data quality to it as well, right? So we propagate data quality through the lineage as well. So what
yeah,
you're looking at in the data vault many times could be impacted by inconsistencies or bad quality of information coming in. To
yeah,
provide that transparency and allowing you to remediate it, I think it's
yeah,
another good
absolutely.
element there.
And we have the concept of business rules in the data vault world, and obviously you can apply lots of patches on data in a warehouse, but it's pretty expensive to actually keep putting band-aids on your data problems to identify where they're coming from,
Exactly.
and remediate them at source. As Noel Ivershon, who's our senior data vault trainer, keeps talking about, it's less than a third of the cost if you remediate the data quality at source. So
Absolutely.
yeah. All right. So how do you guys plan to engage with data vault customers? How are you going to get involved with the community?
Yeah, we're actually excited to be partnering with Ignition and other advocates in the data vault community. That's how we see the growth here, and we would love to hear and engage with you guys further to see how we can improve that data vault experience and how could we bring what Orion does to help members of the data vault community better, serve them better,
Yeah, excellent.
be it regulatory compliance or impact analysis or trust, data trust, or showing you where the bad data came from, etc. So
Great. So you're on the community now. You're up in lights as one of our new sponsors, which is fantastic, and thank you for doing that. So people obviously can reach out to some of your team who are already online on the DVIC forum. I assume they can find you on the web and LinkedIn and all of those sorts of things as well. But obviously they can reach out through myself or the Ignition team as well. Um, is there anything else you wanted to share with us?
no, this is very exciting, Julian, and thank you for making that connection, opening our world to what's going on in the data vault community, and that's where uh, we're excited and we think we can do a lot of great things together.
Yeah, I'd agree completely. I mean, thank you to you as well for joining, and it's exciting to see where this partnership's going to go. So appreciate your time.
Looking forward to it. Yeah.